Hi guys, it's Jamie from Guildbrook Farm. Let's go make some yogurt. I absolutely love yogurt. I eat yogurt just about every day, usually with some granola. So I'm making it probably about once every 5 days. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make yogurt, and then you can go on and strain it and make Greek yogurt, which is how I like it. So in order to make yogurt, you're going to need a few things. The first thing is a cooler. You're going to need some quart jars and their lids. You're going to need a pot to pasteurize your milk, a candy thermometer, really handy. These things are like $2 or $3. You should get one. And you're going to need some milk. No, we don't have dairy animals here yet. Hopefully we're going to get some goats soon. So I just purchased this from a local dairy. You can use raw milk. The only thing I would avoid is ultra-pasteurized milk, and the reason for that is because when they ultra-pasteurize it, they basically destroy the proteins in it. So try to avoid ultra-pasteurized milk. I do use whole milk. I haven't tried skim milk or 2%, really not my thing. You're welcome to try it if you want. You're going to need, if you're going to make Greek yogurt, if you're going to continue on to make Greek yogurt, you're going to need a pot and a strainer and either a muslin or I just use a tablecloth, something to strain the yogurt through. And then finally you're going to need a starter. Now I use Stonyfield Organic Whole Plain yogurt. I've tried several different starters. Some of them work, some of them don't. This one I know works and most people can get it. That's why I'm showing you guys this one. I do want to note something about heirloom yogurts here. Now, I've been making yogurt for a long time, and one thing that I hate is having to rely on buying my starter yogurt, because when you use a starter yogurt from the store like this, it'll only last maybe 3 or 4 times before it starts to get thinner and thinner and thinner, and then you need to repurchase another container of starter and then just do the whole process all over again. So I thought, let's look into heirloom yogurts. That sounds amazing. And there's one company in particular that is always selling heirloom cultures. And I purchased 5 strains through them and tried all 5 strains, along with some other cultured products, and I've had no luck with them whatsoever. I ended up more with clotted milk rather than yogurt, and it had absolutely no taste whatsoever. Now, when I went to leave an honest review about that, they deleted it. So that might explain why they have 5-star reviews on all their product on their website. So buyer beware on that one. You're welcome to try it if you want. I personally have had no luck with it. I'll stick with the store-bought. It's just something I gotta do. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to heat up your milk. Now the reason you want to heat up your milk is because you want to kill all of the beneficial bacteria in the milk. The reason for that is because if you leave the beneficial bacteria in there, it's going to compete with the yogurt culture, and you don't want that happening. You want the yogurt culture to be predominant in your yogurt, otherwise it won't make yogurt. So we're going to dump your milk into a pot, and you're going to heat it on medium-low. I heat mine on 4, and you're going to heat it up to 160 degrees. That's going to pasteurize it without boiling the snot out of it. So you're going to heat it up slowly, and then when it reaches 160 degrees, we're going to pour it into our mason jars. Okay, our temperature is up to 160. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the milk into our quart jars. Now my jars are not sterilized. I don't sterilize them. There's no need to. The heat's going to sterilize them. And then we're going to allow the milk to cool down to 110 degrees. You don't want to go below 110. You want to make sure it's right at that 110. And that's when we're going to add our yogurt. There will be some skin on the milk. Don't worry about that. A very important thing, you are pouring hot milk into jars. You want to make sure that your jars are warmed up. If your jars are cold, they will crack. So You're going to want to leave some headspace because we will be adding the yogurt later. Okay, so I used about 3/4 of a gallon. That's what fit in this pot. And as you can see, it filled up 3-quart jars. I'm going to put the candy thermometer in one of these jars and monitor it very closely for when it gets down to 110 degrees. And that's when we're going to add our yogurt. Our yogurt's now at 110 degrees. It took probably about 45 minutes. Now we're going to add our culture. All you need to do is take a couple of spoonfuls of your culture and add it to each container. I don't really measure. I just use probably about 1/4 of a cup for a quart. If you add too little, it won't work. If you add too much, you're just wasting yogurt. So better to add too much than not enough. And then we're just going to give this a gentle stir. Put our lids on. And now we need to put this in, and now we need to put this in 110 degree water. So we're going to fill our water cooler up with water that's 110 degrees. We're going to put these jars in it, and then we're going to let it sit from 5 to 8 hours. Okay guys, so it has been about 7 hours since I put the yogurt in the cooler in 110 degree water. Now I have not touched this in 7 hours. I did not add water to it. I didn't heat it up. We're going to check our yogurt. So you can see the yogurt is pulling away from the jar. That means it's done. Now technically it was done at about 5 hours. But the longer you leave it sit, the more tart it is, and I personally like it to be a little more tart. Now we're going to open this up, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So if you look in here, you can see we have some nice creamy yogurt. Now you can take this as is. If you like a thinner yogurt, you can take this and put it right in the fridge. It will thicken up a little bit. I personally like very thick Greek yogurt, so I'm going to show you how I do that. To make thick Greek yogurt, all you need to do is strain it. I just have a pot with a strainer in it, and this is actually a linen napkin. You can use, I've used a handkerchief and muslin, just whatever you have on hand to strain it. And you're just going to dump the yogurt into the strainer. Okay, so now we're going to leave this sit for about an hour and a half. That's long enough for it to strain off the whey, and then we're going to scoop that out and put it back into our yogurt jars. What I found is about 3 quarts of yogurt, when you strain it, ends up being about 2 finished quarts. So this third jar, I'm just going to wash it up, put it away, and then we'll come back in about an hour and a half, and I'll show you what the yogurt looks like, and we'll put it in the jars. Okay guys, so it's been about an hour and a half, and the yogurt's pretty thick. I'll show you how thick it is. So this is how thick I like it. The longer you leave it sit, the thicker it's going to be. Now, it will thicken up even more in the refrigerator, and I'll show you that tomorrow as well, because we're going to leave this sit overnight in the fridge. But right now we're going to ladle it back into the jars and then put it in the fridge. Okay, so the liquid that's left over in the pot after you strain it is called whey. You can see it's a little bit yellowish. You can save that and use it to make mashed potatoes, or use it in any recipe that would basically call for buttermilk. You can feed it to your chickens. I wouldn't recommend jerking it straight, but you can even dump it in your garden for some extra nutrients. So now we're going to take this yogurt, put it in the fridge, and we'll see you tomorrow, and I'll show you how thick it got overnight. Okay guys, so it's next morning. Let's check on our yogurt. Here's one of our jars. If I can get the lid off, show you what it looks like in here. Look how thick that is. That is exactly how I like my Greek yogurt. So the longer you leave it sit, if you guys like it even thicker than that, you just let it sit for maybe about 2 hours and drain for 2 hours, and it's actually almost scoopable at that point. Now, what do I use this for? I keep it plain like this. I don't add anything to it because I like to use it in both savory and sweet dishes. So for savory, I will use it as a sour cream substitute, like in chili. And I'll use it when I'm making, say, tuna salad. I'll mix it half and half with mayonnaise. I'll also use it for sweet dishes, like I'll use it instead of whipped cream on an apple pie or a pumpkin pie. I think it's delicious. Just mix it with some honey and put it on top of a pie. But my absolute favorite way to eat it is with some granola, homemade granola on top, and some walnuts. And I'll leave this recipe for you at the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys like making yogurt, or if you've had experience with making yogurt in the past, leave a comment below. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer those as well. Feel free to subscribe and share. Thanks, guys. Perfect.